Hello everyone, this is Weathermiss and welcome back to Season 3 of Hardcore Minecraft Episode 8. So last time we did a little bit of diamond digging and didn't really have too much luck unfortunately. But then we decided we're going to be working on a little bit of a different project, that being with villagers. So if you recall in our last episode we started getting our villager setup a little bit coordinated here. We have this space down here where we're basically going to travel the villagers by boat for this area down here that they're going to be stored. So I do have a villager back here. We'll go ahead and destroy this block. It's not keeping him in or anything. He's in there. He's kind of hard to see, but he is definitely in there just hanging around. So the goal of this episode is to keep bringing villagers over. I think I want a base of maybe 4 villagers or something like that. I know that there are 3 main villagers that I want right now. There could be more that I want later, but for now I want like a cleric, a farmer, and a librarian. But I think it might be a good idea to get more villagers, you know, just to bring them and, you know, breed them and all that kind of fun stuff. So I'm gonna probably spend most of the time bringing villagers over. I tossed around the idea of like how I should be bringing the villagers over, you know, to my island. You know, by boat it's, you know, one at a time and it can be kind of slow, but at the same time, like, I could bring them over by rail. However, that just takes a lot of materials, and although I do have the mine shaft underground, I don't think that would be able to provide me with enough rails to get all the way over there, meaning I would have to use my own materials. I don't think that is ideal. Maybe at some point in the future, if I'm going to be, you know, taking more villagers, but I think if I get a good base here, I don't think I will need to go get any more. I can breed them here and potentially have just my own little village over here. So that's the plan for now. I'm going to actually, it's almost nighttime, and so I do need to take a nap because if we do go get the villagers, I want it to be nighttime so we're not risking our lives and, you know, possibly dying. So I'm just gonna do some quick checks here at my farm. I have some carrots growing, some wheat growing here for the cow breeds, my melons and my sugarcane. Everything looks good and in order, so we're just gonna kind of leave that be. So I'm gonna go take a quick nap and then we'll make our way toward the villagers. So I have 2 villagers downstairs ready to be assigned and be traded with. And so I'm thinking I'm going to probably go ahead and start assigning them. And then, you know, once we get some trades going, just to level them up a little bit and get that stuff going. So trying to think of which ones I want first. I do know for a fact that I want, you know, like I mentioned before, a cleric, librarian, and a farmer. It's just a matter of like, which one should I do? But I guess it also depends on which materials do I have, because I have to make their workstation. So a cleric requires a brewing stand, a farmer requires a composter, and then a librarian requires a lectern. So I have to look and see how to create those and then figure out if I have the materials for that. So I know for a fact the brewing stand, I have a brewing stand, but I don't have one that I can give to the villager unless I have a blaze rod, which I don't have any more of because I usually will go to the end and be like, oh, that's all I need. So I do need to go get a blaze rod if I do want to assign a cleric. I think a cleric actually might be a good start because I almost have a stack of rotten flesh, and I'm pretty sure that the cleric will take rotten flesh as a beginning trade. I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to double check. But if I can work with that, then that'll help level them up quite a bit. So one of the things that I already know I can make is a composter, which is for the farmer. So I'm going to definitely do that, I think, because with some of the materials that I have, I can go ahead and start trading with the farmer. I'm kind of on the fence about whether I want a cleric or librarian first. Librarian starts with paper, And so I do have a ton of sugarcane. I can just like trade the crap out of paper up to max, but the cleric is a zombie flesh, and so it really doesn't. I'm gonna need both at some point, and so it's just a matter of picking one to deal with right now. So as far as like crafting up the workstation, if I do a cleric, I have to go get a blaze rod. If I do the librarian, I have to create a bookshelf, which means I need 3 books, which I'm pretty sure I have 3 books, but I will have to double check. I have 2 leather. I'm closer to getting the bookshelf than I am getting the blaze rod, because I can just whack one of these cows really quick. I whacked a bunch of cows on accident. My bad, cows. I learned when you want to single target a mob, use an axe. Doesn't have the sweeping. Alright, I have my 3 leathers. I need to go get my paper. And I'm pretty sure I have enough slabs for the rest of the recipe. So I had paper in my inventory, and I also had books. So I definitely have enough materials now. So let's go ahead and quickly make this a bookshelf. Great, perfect. And then to make the lectern, oof, I don't remember the recipe. There we go. Lectern. I always get those mixed up when I do that. So we got that, which is great. So now let's go ahead and give them their job assignments by putting these items down in their little hut. So actually what I'm going to do is change this design up just a little bit. I'm going to drop the ground down a couple and then expand it out so that way I can kind of view my villagers from above to see them, and then it also makes sure they can't like pop out. So we will place beds along this wall so they can sleep, and then I will put a composter here and a lectern here. So we have our farmer here, and so geez, 21 for 1 emerald. Oof, that's quite. Whoa, how'd you get up there? You're not supposed to be up there, mister. And the librarian, 27 paper. I don't quite. Why did his prices increase? I'm not sure, but we definitely need to figure out a way to see if we can get these prices lower. And I know one of the ways you can do it is you can have a zombie turn them and then you heal them back up. So we may have to do that at some point because those prices are pretty high. So we'll just have to play it by ear. But for now, this is pretty good. And I think we're at a pretty good spot with these guys. I do need to trade with them, though, I'm pretty sure, if I want them to breed. One thing that I definitely have to do to make sure they get started on breeding or even think about it is the number of beds. I'm pretty sure I have to have more in there. But let's go ahead and do I even have any wool to craft any more beds? That's the tricky thing, is I'm not sure if I have any wool. I have black wool and gray wool, which they aren't the same color, so they're not gonna work. I don't have enough string, I don't think, to make wool, so maybe that's one thing I can use my spider spawner for, is all that string, so I can make a bunch of wool for my village. Oh my gosh, there's so much to do! I think what I'm actually going to do is work with that spider spawner now. I know I keep talking about all these different things that I want to do, and I have just so much stuff. But the thing is, if I set up the spider spawner, not only will I be able to get experience, but I'll be able to get string, which I can create to make wool and then make the bunches and bunches of beds for the villagers. And I've already found it. It's just a matter of, working with it and building it. And so first of all, I do have to find it again. Yeah, it's right up there. Right here is the spider spawner. Now, I've worked with spawners many times in the past, and so I already have an idea of how I'm going to work with this. I have worked with cave spider spawners. Whoa, that spooked me because I forgot that did that. I have worked with cave spider spawners too. Those are a little bit different. Basically, how I plan on working with this is, obviously I need to clear out these chests and kind of clear out the space a little bit. But spawners they're pretty much work consistently across like all different types. Setting up the chambers and all that stuff, it's a little bit different. But as far as the mechanic of each one, it's about the same. So the way I usually like to set it up is I like to dig out from the side 4 on each side, and then also dig up 3, which it looks like it's already up 3, so we don't have to worry about that, and then dig down 4 as well. So once we get that going, so let's kind of go ahead and get started on digging this out. So I have the outside basically all created. The space is, I believe it's a 9 by 9. There are 4 blocks on each side. There's one in the middle, so that's 9, and it's 9 on both edges. So that's how big the square needs to be, and it is, like I mentioned, 3 from the ceiling, so we really don't have to worry about doing anything there. But to save some time, I'm going to go ahead and place 3 blocks above the spawner. This is to prevent any spiders from spawning on top of the spawner and getting stuck. So I figured I'd take care of that now. That way I don't have to worry about it later. So my next plan of action is to dig down 4 from the spawner. While I'm digging down, I'm also going to patch up some of these holes that aren't really part of the structure, because I am going to have to make sure there are no extra holes that the spiders can't get into. So, I mean, at this point I am dug down twice, it looks like, after digging this out. Yep, 1, 2. So I just needed to dig down 2 more times. The nice thing is that part of this is already kind of dug out for me because it was, you know, partially exposed, so it's not going to take too much longer to completely dig this out. I have this area completely enclosed now, so you'll notice that there are 4 cobblestone blocks here, just to double check my height, and so I'm going to remove those really quick. So I've also cleaned up the space as far as closing the gaps. So there's this giant, you know, tunnel that, you know, we originally took to the spawner that is located down here that I had to like patch up and all that stuff. Took care of that. Now that we have this area basically all set up, the next goal that I have is to figure out which side I'm going to make like the killing chamber. And I've thought about, you know, where exactly I wanted this, and I have to be pretty strategic about it because I want it to be easily accessible but also not out in the open where monsters are going to be. So these 2 sides I've already ruled out because they're kind of far away from the entrance of the cave, and then this side is pretty close to the mine shaft, that big open area that I don't really want to have there because it has access to potential monsters that can sneak up on me. So I decided that this side over here is what I'm going to work with. It'll allow me to dig out all the space, so I do have control of, you know, the blocks. I don't really have to go building anymore, I don't think, and then I'll also be able to access it because my mine shaft is directly in this direction too, so it'll make it a lot easier to work with. So the way I'm going to do this is basically I'm going to need a bunch of fence gates, some slabs, and a bunch of different ingredients for this thing. My plan is that, you know, it's obviously going to have the water source that's leading to this area that's ultimately going to have the spiders in a half a block space where I'll be able to kill them, but also the hoppers underneath will be able to catch all their stuff. So that's the design I'm going for. So in the meantime, I'm going to dig this out. This is gonna, you know, be my basic entryway to get in here while I'm working. It's pretty well lit, so the monsters shouldn't spawn in here. I think it should be pretty good to go. But I'm gonna go get the necessary materials and start crafting those up for this build. I am back down here just cleaning up some things, and I think I have most of the things that I need. The first thing I'm going to put down first is an infinite water source. I will definitely need all the water that I can get when it comes to the spawners. The spiders are going to be basically moved by water when they spawn, and then also to the killing chamber, so I need to make sure I have plenty of it. So let's go back in here. Now what I need to do is basically dig this like 3x3 tunnel back like 4 spaces or so. Yep, looks good. So now I have some oak signs and some fence gates and some trap doors for this setup. So let me kind of explain how this is gonna work here. Let me just reorganize some things. So the signs are gonna go here, here, and here. And then the fence gates are going to go here, here, and here with them being open. So I'm going to have the water starting here and pushing into these fence gates. Now, the next step is I have 9 other fence gates and 4, I had to make 4 trapdoors, but you only need 3 of them. I actually also want to dig this up one more here. All the way back to here, and we're going to keep this little guy here. So now I'm going to put more fence gates on top of these fence gates. And I also need to build this up 3. So I need to put one like on top of this guy. Here. Here, and then one more over here. Okay, so those are all open. And then I need to place a set right in front of these guys, like this. All open as well, and then trapdoors along the top here. So basically what's going to happen next is this water that is going to be used to carry these bad boys up is going to sit on top of these trapdoors. I might have to work with it a little bit to get up there and place it. Oops, and also not open the doors. Let me just go up here instead. And place that one there, that one over there, and then also not drown. Okay, and then I need one more right in the middle one. So now all this water is sitting up there, it's pushing that way, and it's made these water columns here. They're not quite all water sources, so what we have to do is go in there and make water sources. You can do this using seaweed, or like, because you don't really need that much, you can do it this way as well, where you have one here and one here, and then we'll put one more on that side, and then you do it to the other side, and it should make all of them source blocks. Now the real test to see if those source blocks actually work is we'll need to place some soul sand. We just have to be careful because we don't want it to catch us and take us to the top and like drown us. So there is a spot you can kind of sit at here where, you know, we're inside the trapdoor so we won't get caught. And we'll place that up there, and then yeah, it takes you up just like that. So that side looks like it's working. So now let's go ahead and place the other 2 pieces in here as well. You can definitely see that it's all working. I'm forced up in this space, and then the bubbles are all going to the top. So that lifting mechanism is working just fine. Now I have to get out. This rising portion is essentially all done. So now what we're going to do is get working on the little chamber where we're going to basically, they're going to gather and they're going to get killed. So I'm going to start off in this direction, basically build cut out this back here so I can get to the back here. So now you'll see that I've gone back here, I've carved out the space, and I've also built the stairway down, which is going to be where we enter and exit our spider spawning system. So we have this all set up. Now the next goal is we do want to place some hoppers along here, so that way whenever we kill spiders they will drop the loot. I don't have any hopper stuff on me, so I'm gonna have to go make some. I only need 3 of them, so I'll need to get 3 hoppers and put them in here, which I have 3 chests for, so it's just a matter of getting the iron. But I also need to make another chest to gather up the items there and get that part ready. So we'll do that next. The rest of it is really just, you know, making sure that the whole system collects, but also finding a spot and setting this area up where we can kill them and they won't sneak out a little hole. That's about the rest of the build here. But we also need to do a couple of other things inside of the spider spawning station to make sure they actually get to this space. So the way that I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to go ahead and I think this is okay to close off for now, but I'm going to first of all make sure that my lighting system is on the wall and not on the floor, and I'm going to place a water here and a water here, and of course it does break on the wall. And so then what I need to do next is break out this space that's not covered in water. And then dig the block right at the edge there. So that way the water falls down and extends. So now, as you can see, the water is all pooling, and wherever you stand, you will end up down here into the fences and into the entire water thing. So that's all good to go there. Now I have to get back up here to my spot. And so this is all set. The only real thing I have to do is remove the torches, but I'm not going to do that just yet because I don't want it going. So I'm going to get the materials for the hoppers and basically the rest of this build, and then we should be good to go to start testing it. So we have everything we need now. We have our hoppers, 2 chests to feed in the materials into. Oh, I'm going to put my cobblestone there and then some slabs. So the way that we're going to construct this is, first of all, I'm going to place here is going to be the chest. Oops. And I'm going to replace this block with a half slab and this block with a half slab, just to kind of look even, I guess, or so it, you know, looks similar on both sides. So now the chest can open. So now what I need to do is place these hoppers. I'm going to replace these blocks with these hoppers, and I don't think it should. Oh, it does mess up the water a little bit, but that's okay. I just have to make sure I replace it, obviously, in its spot. Shouldn't cause any other issues. Cool. We're good. So after that's placed, that one will go directly into there. And then I need to have one go into here. And then lastly, this one into here. Perfect. So now if I drop a bread in here, drop this bread, it should feed all the way to this chest, which it does. Perfect. So that hopper system's all good to go. Now the rest of this setup is pretty simple. We just need to place a set of blocks in front here, and then I'm going to place some half slabs basically above where these blocks are. I shouldn't have any problems with spiders like coming out this way, so I think this should be fine. It's not a huge concern, but if it does become a problem, I'll just replace it with a stair. So that is all good there. I am going to go ahead and put half slab there and there. Again, this still opens. And lastly, this needs to be dug out 1, and then slabs on the bottom. So now I can be at eye level with the spiders there. The very last thing that we need to do is, you'll notice that the water doesn't come forward all the way like we want it to. So we do have to bring it forward a little, which just requires some like extra fancy water mechanics. And by fancy, I mean not really fancy. Well, that's not the right way to do it. I need to do it here. So basically the easiest way to fix this is to place the blocks here, here, and here. Pushes it forward. Then we can break them. And then we just need to make sure we fill out all this extra space that it was filled in before. So now the water is coming all the way up here like we want it to. So that's essentially it. It's basically ready to be tested at this point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some sneaky stuff. I don't really know if it's sneaky. I'm just going to call it some sneaky stuff. So what I want to do is I want to get rid of my torches on the inside without, you know, compromising my safety. So the easiest way to do that, I think, is to drop water from the ceiling along the walls, and that should destroy all the torches that are on the walls. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first kind of like dig up a little bit and kind of keep an eye on where I need to, or where I'm going, basically. This might not make any sense right now, but it might make sense a little bit later. We'll just have to wait and see if it actually works. Alright, so I did dig this up, and you can see I can see the spawner system down there. Okay, this is the wall. Perfect. So now what I'm going to do is, along this wall, basically drop water wherever there are torches and pick it back up. And then it destroys them, and shouldn't cause any complications with the system as long as I pick up the source, which it looks like that went back to normal. Perfect! Okay, so now we just have to take care of the rest of the torches. Alright, this should be the last little drop of water to get rid of the torches, and it looks like it. It's pretty dark in there, so I think it's safe to say that the torches are all destroyed within that. So perfect. So let's go ahead and do this. I actually think I prefer that method of torch removal as opposed to the other methods I've tried in the past, risking my life. I think given that this is hardcore, I'm a little bit more cautious, and so I'd rather do the extra work to make sure I'm safe. But we're going to go ahead and close this off really quick. We'll keep this, I think, up here just in case we do have to ever come back up here. I don't think we will, but you never know. So I can already hear the spiders going bananas down here. So let's see what we have. Okay, we've got a pretty decent collection, I would say. And so that tells me that this thing is working pretty well. I don't really have any enchants or anything great on my sword, so I'm not really getting anything, you know, it's taking quite a bit of time to kill them, which is fine. You know, at some point we will be able to get the good enough sword to get them to a good spot. So we've got 6 string already, which isn't too bad. There is some experience. Looks like I got stuck there for a second, but overall I think this should do the trick. I think we have it at a good spot. We can just stay here in AFK a while, so that way it can do its thing and spawn some stuff. I'm gonna build a door, so that way at the entrance of this thing I don't have any unwanted visitors coming at me if I am, you know, doing a little AFK session. Perfect. Do it just like that. So now all I have to do is come down to this and go into this space here. And then I think this might be a good spot to AFK, or even right here might be a good spot to AFK, I think, for the spiders to spawn here. So now, once we AFK for a while and, you know, we get a collection of them, we can just kill a bunch of them, which might take some work given how I have an iron sword, no enchants. But once we get them down, we're able to get a pretty good chunk. That was a pretty decent haul there. Some experience orbs getting stuck there, but that's okay. So that's about it for this build, and I'm really excited we got it built out. So the goal is to take that string, well, not only use the experience, the eyes for the potions, but we'll be able to take that string and make wool to make the beds for the villagers. So that way we don't have to find sheep, we don't have to farm sheep, but we're going to just make do with the resources that we have, which we have the spider spawner, which is really, really easy to make a farm out of, so it took very little time. Anyway, I think I'm going to AFK here for a little while to get this going a little bit. And aside from that, that's all I have time for this episode. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Hardcore Minecraft, and we will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye!